podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the last Tech Guy podcast of 2021. This episode aired on Sunday, December 19th, 2021. This is 1854. Next episode you'll get will be a best of Tech Guy, and then we'll resume live programming on January 2nd. So this is my last opportunity to wish you a happy holiday, a happy and safe new year. We'll see you in 2022. Tech Guy Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Join over 1 million people who've taken charge of their mental health. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/techguy. And by userway.org. Userway ensures your website is accessible, ADA compliant, and helps your business avoid accessibility-related lawsuits. The perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also the law. Go to userway.org/twit for 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Well, ho, ho, ho. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. It's time, yes, the Tech Guy show. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, all that stuff. All the gizmos, gadgets, G-Jaws, all the things that are changing the world around us day by day, constantly. If you want to talk about tech, that's what I'm here for. I certainly hope you do. Otherwise, I'm going to get very lonely. It's going to be a long 3 hours. 8888 Ask Leo. Come on, give us a ring. 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me, but it's going to be take a little effort on your part. It's going to take a little something. Like you're going to have to use Skype or one of those programs that'll let you use the internet to call it a landline, and then it shouldn't cost you anything anyway, because it is, after all, a toll-free number. 8888 Ask Leo. What's going on in the world of tech? Well, the holidays, yeah, we're getting ready. And Omicron, so that's a nice. There's a nice collaboration. It's funny because so many companies which were about to, bring people back to work and all of that stuff, suddenly, just like a cartoon, we're going the other way, back up, retreat. Now they're saying maybe you never come back. Maybe never come back. I guess we'll just figure it out as we go. We're just going to figure it out as we go. What else is going on? I think it's funny. Everybody in the world who owned a Pixel 6 phone with Android 12. I don't know if it was an Android 12 problem. Everybody in the world got a warning 4 days ago that there was going to be a big cyclone hitting the Philippines. So we all knew. It was the strangest thing to get up. Here I am in California and seeing a public storm warning signal number 1 from Pagasa. I thought, who's Pagasa? So I looked it up, and it's the Philippines Weather Authority. It's the Philippines. I haven't seen anything from Google about that. Even just like, oops. An oops would be nice. Oops. It's the strangest thing to be warned about a cyclone in the Philippines. I mean, I'm sure it was a bad one. It must have been. Why they warned the Philippines Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration warned the entire world. Here it comes. Okay. Thanks for the heads up. We didn't even get rain that day. Come on, man. What's the deal? We could have used some of that water here in California. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Big exploit Log4Shell. Talked about it a little bit on the last show. Log4j is a very widely used logging tool on web servers of all kinds, Minecraft servers. It keeps track of what's going on. Turns out it had a terrible, terrible problem. And last weekend, everybody was scrambling to fix it. They thought they fixed it. Now we're learning, oh, it's really terrible. It's even worse. There's even more. So people have been fixing it, and then it's been breaking again, and then fixing it. Here's what Wired wrote. After some preliminary probing and exploitation from attackers around the world, defenders are bracing for a brutal next wave. They say vulnerable systems will lurk in networks for years, just waiting to be discovered and exploited. You don't have to worry about your home computer. It's not on your home computer. But in a way, it does affect us because when servers are infected, they can do all sorts of malicious things, including try to attack your computer. Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, Meta, took down infrastructure on its platforms from 7 companies that had been targeting 50,000 of the company's users and others. They keep doing that, letting bad guys in, and so it's one thing that maybe you trust or don't trust Facebook, but you're giving them all this information, and then they can't be trusted to keep their network clean and safe. It's kind of not good. Kind of not great. What else is, something happy. Let's have something happy. Well, it's an interesting story. I don't know if it's a happy story. I don't know what the end game was. But do you know what a tardigrade is? 8th graders know. They love these things. Tardigrades are little tiny, they're water bears. They live in moss, and they're everywhere, all over the world. In fact, they've been taken to space because they're very tough. Even when dehydrated or in space, they just shrink down into a little freeze-dried tardigrade. They're alive. They can survive without water for decades. They can tolerate high doses of gamma and X-ray radiation. They can survive. Can you do this? Temperatures from minus 272 degrees to 150 degrees Celsius. That's boiling plus. They've spent 10 days in the vacuum of space, and just like sea monkeys, when they get back home, they unfold and, hey, we're tardigrades again. So what better animal to send into a quantum entanglement? This is the lot. The poor tardigrade, the lot of the tardigrade's life. A tardigrade has been quantum entangled with a superconducting qubit. And that sentence really tells you everything you need to know about the 21st century. It survived. I wish they could talk so we could ask them what was it like in there. Rainier Dumke and his colleagues at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore placed a hibernating, they were hibernating already, tardigrade on a superconducting qubit. That's a happy story because it lived. It lived. We have done everything we can to those poor tardigrades and nothing. So I don't even know where to start with this. I remember dimly from high school something about quantum mechanics, quantum states, quantum entanglements. It's really the stuff of science fiction. How can you be 2 places at once when you're hardly anywhere at all? And if you're a tardigrade, apparently you can. Anyway, it's the first time a multicellular organism has been placed in a, thank goodness, a quantum entanglement and lived to tell the tale. Been a big year for mobile gaming this year. 8 mobile games on your phone, made more than $1 billion in 2021. The top 10 mobile games by worldwide revenue: PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, number 1, $2.8 billion. Now, what's funny is these are free to play. I think all of these are free to play, but then there's stuff in there, like little stuff you might want to buy, like special, costumes and dance moves and things. PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, known as Game for Peace in China. Of course it is. The ultimate war game. It's the game for peace. And Battlegrounds Mobile in India, number one. Oh, tied, though, with Honor of Kings. Have you played that? I know you've seen the ads. I have. I've not played it. I don't. Because this is free. You're going to download it. You're going to play it. And all of a sudden, you're going to be enjoying it. And it's going to say, now that'll be $5 or something. Or do you want to keep playing? Watch this ad. I think that's almost worse. Watch this ad. Number one and number two programs. PUBG and Honor of Kings. Number three, Genshin Impact. Kind of farther down, though, $1.8 billion. A mere $1.8 billion in revenue. Although it came out in September of 2020, so it's a little bit younger than the others. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's good. Maybe it's coming on strong. One of the oldest games on this list, Pokemon Go, which has been out for 5 years. Pokemon Go had its best year ever, $1.2 billion. Candy Crush Saga, that might be even older. How old is Candy Crush Saga? $1.2 billion. Roblox, if you got kids, Roblox, $1.3 billion. Coin Master, $1.3 billion. The big hits. And then rounding out the top 10, I've never heard of this one. Maybe you have. Garena Free Fire, $1.1 billion. These are all the 8 mobile games that made 8 mobile games that made $1 billion this year. Last year, only 5. 3 the year before. So mobile gaming, of course, you're stuck at home. You got nothing to do, nowhere to go. What are you going to do? Fire up the old mobile game. Of course you are. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. We are talking high tech. I hope you are talking too. Give me a ring. It's not too late to get that gift for the geek in your life. I can tell you about all sorts of inexpensive and expensive gifts. You can get them. 8888 Ask Leo. Website techguylabs.com. Sammy, how are you?
Hey, Leo.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Anxiously waiting for my shipment of salt to arrive.
You ordered some salt?
I ordered some salt from salthank.com.
Oh, my goodness.
Watching his videos makes me so hungry. I wish he would just come over and make my lunch for me every day.
How do you think I feel? Oh, that's nice. Thank you for doing that. And I think you'll enjoy it. I've been using this morning I sliced an avocado, sprinkled some of the truffle salt on it. It was very, very good. Very, very
I ordered some of the truffle salt and what was the other one? There's the basic sea salt.
Calabrian pesto and the essential sea salt. Yeah.
Yeah, the essential sea salt and the truffle salt are the two I ordered.
I don't know how he does it, but they seem saltier than regular salt. So when you first start using it, just a little bit at a time, and then you'll slowly figure out how much to use. But I even got a little. I told him, you got to start selling these little salt shakers.
There you go. Yeah. Little salt shakers shaped like his head.
Yeah. Man. All right. So we will talk. Your picture's good. Your sound is good. We'll talk in about 15 minutes.
All right.
I'm a little distraught about the phone is key thing in the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I have to say it's broken. And
really?
Yeah. Apparently they give people 2 fobs. I think they must understand that they really need to give people fobs because I only have 1 fob. Fortunately, Lisa's got her Mini, so she doesn't need to drive my car anymore. But yeah, just, the other day I was trying to go home.
Is that with the iPhone or Android or both?
Yeah, iPhone. Well, I have, Android too, but Android's worse apparently. I couldn't, I can never open the door. So you got to open the app, press the button, open the door, and then you can open the door. That's annoying. That's new. I don't know why that's changed. And now, the other day I was trying to leave work. The alarm's going off. I can't start it. Oh. It's just like, oh my God, I'm sitting there. It took me 15 minutes to kind of get everything. The alarm was going off and people were coming out saying, you okay? I said, yes. Ugh, They got to fix this. That's ridiculous. I'll
check with the folks at Ford
I
and see if
suspect
they know
that
anything.
they have at some point, but I don't have the latest update, as you know, so I'm wondering. But I just feel like they keep the last update I got said it improved it, but it's just a broken system. It's probably not their fault. I notice every time Apple pushes an update
when I used it worked fine.
Yeah, every time Apple puts an update out, I have to redo the whole thing. Something breaks, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, we'll talk in a bit.
All right.
You could call me. You could call Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Call me. You're wearing your 49ers fleece. I love that.
You got as fancy as possible today, and I went as casual as possible on this very final show of the year.
Final show of the year. I am wearing a three-piece suit.
You are.
A clashing bow tie. That's in honor of the NFL. Those guys always, for some reason, wear clashing shirts and ties.
Well, I have to represent my boys.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we thought they were out, but they're still in it.
Still in the hunt. Yeah. So that's fun. People are going, wait a minute, what? So we're going to be taking Christmas off, obviously, and New Year's Day off. Yes. And the Boxing Day, because I don't know, that's a big important holiday, I guess, the day after Christmas.
We're big Brits.
Yeah. We will have reconstituted shows, much like the Tardigrade. We have shows that never die that Professor Laura is putting together an extravaganza of best ofs. And then I'll be back, and you'll be back on January 2nd for our first show of the new year. So, yeah, this is the last show of the old year. Lisa this morning said, first there was 2020.
And then there was 2021.
And then there was 2021, W-O-N.
And they weren't very much different.
It's 2022.
And we're still in the thick of this.
2020, the year that never ends.
2020, the year that never ends.
The tardigrade of years. You can't kill it.
No.
So I'm a little worried today because it is so close to the holiday that people will be, doing things. And so whatever you can do to encourage the phones to ring, keep Kim Schaffer busy, 8888 Ask Leo. Who should I start with?
Let's start with our friend Julian. He wants to help a caller from yesterday.
Julian Vargas, yes. Thank you so much, Kim. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Hello, Julian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good morning, Leo. And first of all, a very Merry Christmas to you, to Kim, to all the staff there, everybody who makes this show happen. This is wonderful. And it's the last show of the year. I can't believe how quickly it's gone.
Yeah, I know. It really has. This whole year has been kind of a blur. But thank you. We got to give a little credit to Julian because he does a really great service for blind users. And we have a lot of blind listeners, as one would expect with a radio show. And so we get a lot of callers from blind users. And Julian's always there to help and help people give your web address and your email out again, because everybody should hear this.
It's www.techjv.com. That's TECHJ as in John, V as in Victor.com. All my contact info is there, as well as other stuff I provide. I keep a running list of recommended iOS apps that are good for blind users and other resources there. So, and thanks to your show, I've heard from such wonderful people. I've had a chance to help out people, especially people that are newly blinded. It's been a great opportunity, so I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people. We had a caller the other day that was had been low vision for a long time and went fully blind a couple of years ago. And he was actually asking some recommendations, so I'm glad you called. Is that why you're calling?
Well, I'm calling because yesterday you had a blind guy that called in.
He had an iPhone 6S. Yeah.
And he was wondering, was there an advantage to upgrading, especially with regard to accessibility? And the thing is, absolutely kudos to Apple for supporting the iPhone 6S, a 6-year-old phone.
Yeah.
It can't be said of a lot of companies like Google that gives the Pixel 3 the Android 12, but then cuts off the security updates. I'll never understand that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Yeah.
But One thing, though, is the iOS 15 that you get on the iPhones like the 6S, or really any phone that came out before 2018. So that would be like your 10S, your 10R, and that series of phones. Anything that came out before then just doesn't have the processor power to support some of this really neat stuff that Apple has been putting into iOS, including things like screen recognition, image recognition, where you can get really detailed information on your screens, buttons that are not labeled by developers. But especially with iOS 15, we got this live text feature out of Photos that's been wonderful. And this is something that you're missing out if you don't have a newer phone. So the iPhone 6S will not do this, and it's come in handy. So, for example, I subscribe to something called Informed Delivery from the post office, where if I'm getting mail every day, I get an image of that mail. So that way I know if I'm getting something really important, just to be mindful of the mailbox. In today's world, you have to be careful about not letting sensitive mail sit around in mailboxes too long. So this has been a wonderful thing. And now with this live text capability out of Photos, I used to have to send that image to an OCR app, which would then open it and give me that info. And now, just from the Mail app itself, I can focus on that image and get all the text read out of that image. So it just makes life so much easier. The LiDAR stuff that's being put into the Pro and Max phones has a lot of potential for indoor navigation and even object recognition, things like that. There are services that are already experimenting with that. So these are all wonderful things that you do not get. Even though you have iOS 15 on a 6S, you're not getting and you're missing out on. So I would say that absolutely, if the person's willing to spend the money and update to one of the newer phones, it doesn't even have to be the 13. You could go with the 12. Either way, it's worth the while.
Always a pleasure. Julian, thank you so much. TechJV.com. We appreciate it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sam Abuelsamid coming up next. I appreciate it, Julian. It's great to talk to you again. Thank you for everything.
Oh, likewise. And like I said, Leo, it's awesome that you'd let me come on the air and do this. The people that have come to me and that I've had the chance to work with and just encourage and help, it's just been wonderful. I couldn't reach any of these people without your show.
Well, we couldn't. Thank you for making yourself so available. I mean, that's really above and beyond. So that's great. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Likewise. Same to you.
Thank you, Julian. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsor for the podcast this week, BetterHelp Online Therapy. BetterHelp.com/techguy. This is a tough time of year for everybody, and it's been a tough year, and it's getting tougher. It is no sin to think about maybe getting a little somebody to talk to. BetterHelp Online Therapy makes it easy, makes it affordable, and helps you find a therapist that's right for you. The best way to think about therapy is not like there's something, you're broken, there's something wrong with you. That's not the case. I've done therapy. Everybody I know has done therapy. It's so helpful in so many circumstances. You tune up your car, right, to prevent a bigger issue down the road. It's just maintenance. You get checkups. You go to the gym just to maintain your wellness. This is maintaining your mental wellness. And it's really a shame that it's been stigmatized. But I like the idea of BetterHelp because it means without, feeling weird or, going to an office, you can get somebody to talk to that helps you kind of do the routine maintenance we all need to do for your mental and emotional wellness. And it's all about preventing bigger issues down the road. You want to live a better life. You want to feel better. And now don't feel bad. This is a time people struggle. It's not at all unusual to struggle during the holidays. And BetterHelp is here. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're investing in yourself to keep your mind healthy and, to maybe get through some rocky points. If you have to go visit your family, before you go, you might want to make a little session with BetterHelp. It's not just any online therapy, by the way. Completely flexible. You can do a video call if you want, a phone call. If you're hesitant or nervous, they even have live chat sessions. So it really helps kind of get you over the initial barrier of, I don't know. Should I be looking at this person? Do it with chat. You don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It still works. It's a lot more affordable than in-person therapy. And by the way, if you go right now to betterhelp.com/techguy, you can start communicating with a therapist in under 48 hours. You can really get the help you need by Monday or Tuesday. I don't know why we invest in everything else. We spend money on any sort of thing to make us feel better, right? Did it? That ice cream cone, that new car, did it? No, for 3 seconds. Here's something that really can make you feel better. Forever, long term. BetterHelp.com/techguy. TechGuy listeners get 10% off their first month. This is a really good deal. BetterHelp.com/techguy. Very impressed with the onboarding. What also I was impressed with, and I've always been a believer in this, just any therapist is not, you want the therapist that's right for you, that really speaks to you, that understands you, that talks in a way. Some guys want a guy to talk to. Sometimes you want a woman to talk to. Some women say, I only talk to a woman. Or maybe I want to talk to a guy because I want to get that perspective. You should get somebody who's as smart as you. Somebody's not going to take your excuses, or maybe you don't. Maybe you want somebody gentle who kind of take care of you. You get to choose. And it makes it very easy with BetterHelp to say, it was nice to talk to you, but you're not the right person. Nobody takes offense. Move on and find somebody who's right for you, whose schedule works with your schedule. You can do it multiple times a week if you want. It's really, I think, a great way, or just once to say, you know what, I'm going to the family Christmas, and I just want somebody to talk to before I go, just to reinforce, the things that are right that make you feel better. I think this is really a good service. BetterHelp.com/techguy. You want to check it out right now. 10% off for your first month. BETTER, better. It's going to make you feel better. Help is on the way. HELP.com/techguy. It's like a cozy, warm fire in the fireplace. It's just going to make you just feel a little bit better. That's a great thing. Thank you, BetterHelp, for supporting the Tech Guy Show. And now, back we go. It is time, as always, on a Sunday morning to get the latest on automotive technology from our car guy, my car guy, Sam Abuelsamid, Greenhouse Insights, principal researcher there. He also does the Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media. Joins us every week. Hello, Sam. Happy holidays.
Hello, Leo. And that's Guidehouse, not Greenhouse.
What? I said Greenhouse? I'm sorry. Yes, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. I even have it written out in front of me, and I got it wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I do that sometimes.
I have Christmas brain.
Yes.
I'm ready to go on vacation. I haven't had a vacation in quite a while. Not like a whole month. What, come to think of it, yeah. What is up in the world of cars?
So about a week and a half ago, I was actually out in California. I was in San Diego, so we're my co-hosts from Wheel Bearings who are also out there, and we were there to drive a new electric vehicle called the Hyundai Ionic 5. So this is the first of almost 24 new EVs that Hyundai Motor Group brands, Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, will be launching over the next 2.5 years off of a new EV platform that they've developed. And there's going to be a variety of different vehicles, including larger 3-row SUVs and sedans and all kinds of stuff. But the Ioniq 5 is the first of these, and they actually just started deliveries this past week. The first few customers got some this week. And they call it a crossover. You look at it, it looks more like a hatchback, but it's about the same size as the really popular compact crossovers like the Toyota RAV4, the Hyundai Tucson, the Honda CR-V, and it's all electric. And it is a really, really good car. So if you're looking for another option in an EV with something that looks a little different, it's got a little funkier styling, a little bit different from a Tesla or from a Mach-E or a VW ID4 that's distinctive. This is one I would definitely recommend. It's you can get it. Currently they're launching with the all-wheel drive versions with 320 horsepower, a larger rear motor, a smaller front motor, and they'll have a rear drive version coming in the spring. But it has a range of up to, depending on the configuration, up to 303 miles.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's very good. And it's roomy. It's got lots of cargo space in it.
Yeah, it looks like a kind of a more traditional SUV a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit SUV, a little bit of 90s hatchback, but very kind of a faceted design. It's got some really interesting design details. So, like if you're watching the live stream, you can see a picture next to my shoulder of the taillights, and they've got the same thing in the headlights, where they've gone with this pixelated look. So very kind of 8-bit.
It looks like a little Pac-Man backup lights. That's hysterical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're a Minecraft fan, you might enjoy that look.
I have to say, I notice as I'm driving around at night now, and I don't know if this is a good thing. We might have to start standardizing on lights, because they're all kinds of, thanks to LEDs. I was thinking, probably the most impactful invention of the last decade is the white LED, because it's given us the ability to use LEDs everywhere. And man, the LED lights we're seeing everywhere now. Crazy. Yeah.
No, and with the electronic controls with the LEDs.
Yeah, they're dancing and singing.
And it's one of the ways that designers have a little bit of freedom to give a distinct look, because if you look at most of these new vehicles, especially SUVs and crossovers, they often have basically the same shape. If you were to take them and just put them in profile and take the badges off, you'd have a hard time distinguishing.
I think you're right. They all look basically like crossovers. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the places where they've got a little bit of freedom of design is in the lighting.
The lighting and the wheels. And I'm looking at this Ionic, and the wheels are kind of unique as well.
Yeah, and actually somebody, Scooter X, I think, was asking, why are the wheels on so many electric cars ugly turbines?
It's
obviously
just a style
design
thing.
is very much it's very much a personal thing. If you think it's ugly or good looking, they're trying to make it look a little bit more futuristic, make it look like it's in motion even when it's standing still. In the past, on some vehicles, they've used, this kind of turbine look where they've actually had directional wheels. So on the right and left-hand side of the car, they were actually they were opposite. They were mirror images of each other. And in those cases, if you were to take off the wheel and look at the back, they actually had fins cast in there. They were using them to extract air out through there as the wheel rotates to help cool the brakes.
Wow.
In this case here, it's more just purely for
style.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting back to the lights, the infrastructure bill made a difference in the way our headlights work, believe it or not. I guess
they will.
They will.
They haven't yet.
A law passed in 1967 required headlights to have separate high and low beam elements, which means that a lot of the adaptive headlights, which don't, were not legal. NHTSA is now proposing a change that will make those legal. So we're going to see more. What is adaptive headlights?
So, I don't know if you remember last year, believe it or not, it was only last year, although it's almost 2 years now at CES when you were there with Ant. And when we were at the Audi booth, we got a demo of these adaptive lights.
Yes, those are so cool.
Yeah, so the way they work, they use LEDs and they use basically a DLP type mechanism like we used to have in projection TVs, with little micro mirrors. And what these adaptive lights can do is it basically uses a matrix, creates a light an illuminated matrix, and so you can create different patterns.
They can aim. Too.
It can aim, but also, for example, when you're driving down the road, if there's a car coming towards you, the forward-facing camera can detect that car and then automatically dim the pixels where that car is, so that you can have high beams all around that car.
The rest of the road's fully illuminated, just not blinding the driver coming on at you.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And you can do things like specifically illuminate the lane edges, use all kinds of interesting things you can do to help improve the driver's situational awareness.
Didn't that Audi actually
aim them?
Show where you're going on the road? Like it put lights on the road ahead of you?
It does, yeah. And they actually sell those in Europe. They've had those in Europe for several years. In fact, most of the European premium brands have those types of adaptive headlights. They haven't been legal here, as you mentioned. The infrastructure bill actually has a clause in there that directs NHTSA within the next 24 months to change the lighting regulations to allow for these new adaptive headlights. Because they can be brighter, provide better visibility for drivers, so for better nighttime safety.
So why do they have to be commanded to do this? Why can't the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, just do it?
That's a good question.
They have to be ordered to keep up with the times.
Yeah, automakers have been lobbying NHTSA for a number of years now, working with NHTSA, trying to get these regulations changed. And I think even without that particular clause in the law, they were on their way to making this change anyway. So it's more of a formality than anything else. So this was going to happen.
I feel like there's all sorts of things we could do with modern vehicles and technology that old outdated laws. For instance, side view mirrors. We don't really need those. We could use cameras, right?
We could. And again, this is something that you can get in other parts of the world, have camera mirrors. So
it would be safer.
And displays inside the car. And yeah, it's safer. They're always aimed correctly. And also, there's less aerodynamic drag. Those mirrors cause a lot of drag.
Right.
And so you could actually get better efficiency, a little better efficiency with cameras instead of mirrors.
Sam Abuelsamid, Guidehouse Insights, wheelbearings.media. Thank you, Sam. Leo Laporte.
Thank you, Leo.
The tech guy. Guidehouse Greenhouse. What was I thinking? So if you have, instead of mirrors, actually, it's a great question. John's asking, instead of mirrors, you have cameras. Where does the display go so that where would you look to see what the side views are?
So it varies. Different manufacturers have done different solutions. Sometimes there'll be an LCD display at the base of the A-pillar on either side. So basically very close to where you would look for the mirrors today. In the case of the Audi e-tron, on European market versions of the e-tron, they're actually just in the top corner of the door panel, just below the A-pillars. So generally, they're putting them somewhere in the same general vicinity where you're glancing anyway when you're glancing at your mirrors, which you should be doing before you make a lane change or back up or anything like that, and also scanning your mirrors periodically as you drive. So that's where they're locating those displays for that.
I will let you have your time. Web Shorts wants dearly to hear about the Ionic 5.
Okay.
And I distracted you with the talk about lights, but I always try to make it more general. Obviously.
Well, I mean, I started it because I talked about the matrix lights on or the pixel lights on the Ionic 5. Yeah. The Ionic 5 is really a fantastic car. As I said, it's shaped a little more like a 90s hot hatchback, like a Golf GTI or something like that, but with a distinct look to it. It's the base setup is rear-wheel drive, like what VW is doing with the ID3, ID4, and their other ID platform vehicles, and it's actually surprisingly roomy inside. So it's the same length as the Hyundai Tucson. So if you're familiar with the Tucson or a Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V, those are all about the same length, about 176 or 182, 183 inches long. Just a couple inches shorter than a Mach-E or a Model Y. So very close in size to those vehicles. But the wheelbase is 118 inches. So it's about 10 inches longer wheelbase than the Tucson. So it has a lot. They've really pushed the wheels out to the corners, which both has the effect, creates a I'm blanking on the word now. Creates an optical illusion that the car looks smaller than it actually is, but it's actually a pretty decent size and it's very roomy inside, very comfortable inside. A lot of fun to drive. Not quite as quick as a Tesla, not as powerful, but at 320 horsepower with the all-wheel drive, 225 for the rear drive version. It's more than quick enough for pretty much anybody's needs. And because it's electric, you've got that instant on torque, very responsive, and it's a fantastic option. Base price for the standard range Ioniq 5 with rear-wheel drive starts at just shy of $40,000 before delivery, and You can still get the full $7,500 tax credit on that. That version has a range of about 225 miles. The extended range rear-wheel drive version is about a little over 300-mile range, and it's going for about $45,000, and then a fully loaded version of the limited with all the available options on it maxes out about $55,000, so about $47,000, $48,000 after the tax credit. So it's a really, if you're looking for an EV and you're maybe tired of seeing Teslas everywhere, or anything else, you want something a little different. This is definitely one I would seriously take a look at. There's also Kia is going to have their own model called the EV6 that is based on the same platform. It's about the same size, and it's going to have completely different kind of design to it. So there's a lot of new options coming to the market for EVs over the next couple of years.
Mele Kaliki Maka, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Art in Phoenix. You're next. Hey, Art.
Yay.
Yay. Hello.
Nice to talk to you, Leo.
Nice to talk to you. What's up?
I hope you can help me with my problem.
Yes.
For years, I've been using AllPassPro, and I had like 150 passwords in there.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a new iPhone 13 Pro. I upgraded it to the latest whatever, and now all my passwords are gone.
Well, that's not nice.
No, not at all. Now, the odd thing is I haven't updated my iPad, and everything's in there.
So maybe you shouldn't, at least until we figure out what the heck is going on. I'm glad you only updated one at a time. So you updated to 15.2, or what? That's the latest?
15.2.
Okay. So everything was working right up until 15.2.
Yes, for years.
And AllPassPro still works. It's just there's no passwords in it.
Correct.
That's an interesting conundrum. Is it still available in the App Store would be the next thing to check.
Yeah, it is, because one of the things I tried was that I deleted the app, and then I re-entered it, and it was still in the App Store.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it. It's a password vault, and it uses its own. I'm just checking, because the first thing I was concerned about is maybe it had been using Apple's keychain to store the passwords, and that might have been affected by Apple's upgrade, but it looks like it keeps its own vault. So that wouldn't be it. I think. I mean, that would be the first thing I would wonder is, gosh, that's a really terrible result.
I agree.
And I don't know if I should blame AllPassPro or if I should blame iOS 15.2. There may be a reason Apple did that. It's
Now, is it possible that another update might fix that?
Yes. Although, if I were you, I would not update your iPad. Thank goodness you didn't.
Right.
And does AllPassPro have a way to export those passwords to save them somewhere?
Well, yes. You can do a backup, which I used to do all the time.
Okay. So I would do that. Get it off the iPad. Get it somewhere, on a hard drive somewhere, and verify that it is all your passwords. That way, whatever happens, I'm thinking it's a problem with. It's got to be a problem with. I'm looking, by the way, at reviews of AllPassPro, and they are not very good.
Oh.
So,
what is a good? Well, I have two questions then.
Yeah.
First of all,
here's the thing.
If I re-entered everything.
Well, you don't want to re-enter it unless you only have a handful of passwords. What I would do is export. Look at the export. Good password vault. There are very, very many. The number one password vault probably for iOS is 1Password. There's LastPass. I use Bitwarden, which is an open source one. I like the idea of it being open source because, you can verify it's doing what it says it would do and all of that. It's also free. So all of those would be a good alternative. What you should do, though, is check and see if you can export your passwords in a format that these other ones can import. Every password manager I've ever used, and I've used many of them because part of my review process, I have yet to use AllPassPro, so I apologize. But all the ones I've used have a way to export it in such a way that another password manager can import it easily. Usually that's with something called CSV, or comma-separated values. That's a text file format that is kind of very generic, and a lot of apps can do. This AllPassPro is developed by one guy, and it may be Alexander Troitsky who wrote it. I noticed it hasn't been updated in a year. It may be he has not kept up with. There have been some massive changes. Look, you can export. You can export it via mail, iTunes, and CSV text files. If you do it with CSV text files, then you can use LastPass, 1Password, Bitwarden, a variety of password managers. Import them, and you won't lose your data. You won't lose your data.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that there must be a bug in this. Alexander hasn't kept up. There were some massive changes in iOS since 15. Something happened. It's not a good thing. It's very, that's not good. It does look like it uses its own vault, which is a good thing. That's very strange that they all disappeared. That's a bad bug, whatever that is.
Because I've been using it for, as I say, years and never had a problem with it.
Here's a review. I'd give it 0 stars if I could. Love the program until I put it on my iPad and it overwrote the database, deleting all my passwords. It's been more than a week since your update, which resulted in not being able to access the data in the app. A lot of negative reviews. So I think maybe time to move to a better password manager. Password manager is one of those things you really better work. You're putting a lot of trust into it.
Yeah. If you were me, what one will you gravitate toward?
Well, I use Bitwarden. It's free. It's open source. They are a sponsor of some of our podcasts, but LastPass was too. I used LastPass for many, many years. They're very good. And a lot of Apple people prefer 1Password. That's an excellent choice too. There's another one that is very Mac and iOS friendly called Dashlane. I would say your choices are between 1Password and Bitwarden. Take a look at both. Both have free trials. Bitwarden is free forever because it's open source. They have a kind of a pro version that's less than $1 a month. I think it's Bitwarden, Bitwarden. And I should say every password manager I use has one key feature. It works on Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android because I use all of those. You may not care. In fact, if you don't care, if you're all Apple, if you use Macs, you're all Apple, then Apple has a built-in password manager that really probably does everything you need. And because it's Apple, I think it's probably much more trustworthy than any third party. And that's just the keychain, the password manager built in. You probably noticed that when you enter a password on iOS.
I've never used it.
Yeah. It offers to write a password. It'll use the fingerprint reader or Face ID to automatically unlock it. It's tightly integrated in. The biggest negative, it's very well done. My only reason I don't use it, and the biggest negative is you got to only be using Apple products, Macs and iOS. Yeah. But if you're all Mac, if you're all Apple, I think it's.
I'm all Mac. I'm all Apple.
Good way to go.
The cult.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if you're in the cult, and honestly, the reason I use all of these is because it's my job. I have to use everything.
Yeah.
For that reason, I use Bitwarden. But honestly, if you're in the cult, just use the built-in password manager. It's really good.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm sorry you got bit. I'm glad. Boy, it's really a lucky thing that you only upgraded your iPhone and not your iPad. And it may be that you could upgrade the iPad and you wouldn't lose a password database, that it's kind of unrelated. It's just a bug in the software. In fact, that's my guess looking at these reviews. Your password manager is such a critical part of your infrastructure. There are just some things I don't, I want to be very careful about. And I can't think of anything more important to be careful about than your password manager. Maybe one other thing, your backup. Let's take a break. We're going to come back, take more of your calls. 8888 Ask Leo. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Guidehouse Insights, the Abuelsamid. Enjoy your 8 minutes and 30 seconds, my friend.
All right. So continuing on for just a little bit more with the Ionic 5, a couple other things I didn't get around to mentioning. One of the really cool features of this car, it's got an 800-volt electrical system, which means it supports really fast charging. It can charge at up to 235 kilowatts. So it'll go on a 350 kilowatt charger. It'll go from 10% charge to 80% charge in just 18 minutes, and in 5 minutes, you can add about 68 miles of range to it. So it makes it much more convenient with fast charging. And Hyundai is bundling in for the first 2 years, you get unlimited 30-minute charge sessions at Electrify America stations. So basically for the first 2 years, you can pretty much do all your driving for free without having to pay for any charging. And then one of the other cool features of this platform is something that Hyundai is calling vehicle-to-load capability. So it's got bidirectional capability. You get an adapter that plugs into the charge port, and that gives you an AC outlet with up to 1.9 kilowatts of output. So if you want to do some glamping or anything like that, or power some devices around your home, or a tailgate party, things like that, you can plug in a whole bunch of things to the car and charge them or run them off the battery of the car. So that's a very handy feature. In fact, you can, although it's not really recommended and probably not the most efficient way to do it, but you can actually charge up another EV off of this using the optional, the available charging cable that comes with the car. So if you run across another EV that has run out of juice, you can plug in that adapter, plug in your cable, and charge up another EV. It'll be a fairly slow way to do it, but you can get in an hour you can get a few miles of range into there, and that might be enough to get that other EV to a charging station without having to call for a flatbed to tow them in. The other thing that was coming up in the chat earlier on in the show was some discussion around key fobs and key fob batteries and emergency keys. I think, at the beginning, Leo was talking about his using his phone as a key with his Mach-E, having some challenges with that. The vast majority of modern vehicles have keyless entry systems. So you've got a little RF transceiver in your key fob that comes with your car, and you can remotely lock and unlock the car with that. And, of course, because that's got a little radio transmitter receiver in there, it's got to have some power. So there's a battery in there. And sometimes eventually those batteries die, and all of a sudden you can't get into your car. So one of the things that you will find in most people, chances are you've never noticed this, you never realized this unless it's come up. Every one of these key fobs has a physical key embedded in it. And, if you look around, if you look closely at your key fob, or, just take a look at your owner's manual, you will find that there's usually some kind of little button or something somewhere. You press that and it releases, and you can pull out an actual physical key. And even though if you look at your car, you won't usually see a keyhole on most modern cars. If you look carefully, you will find somewhere where there's a little cover that's covering up a keyhole that's there for emergencies. So if either the battery on the car goes dead or the battery in your fob goes dead, you can use that physical emergency key. In the case of the Ionic 5, if you're looking at the stream, you see the picture, you see how the door handles are popped out there. Once you get in the car and start it, those fold back flush with the door, but underneath that is actually you'll find the keyhole. In some cases, there's a cover you have to pull off.
My key is not cut, so I'm thinking that the
key in your fob.
Yeah, so I'll show you. Yeah, I'm thinking there is in fact no special hole.
No, that's unusual. That I would call a manufacturing defect.
No,
because
I
there
don't think
actually
there's a
should be.
hole. Really? For safety reasons?
Yeah, there should be a hole somewhere.
Oh, Ford. I've seen other people say theirs is not cut as well, so I think this is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's weird. You're right. There should be some if there's no electricity, some physical manual way to at least get in.
Yeah, in almost every vehicle I've seen, there is one there.
Yeah, this is, but it's a good. If I've ever get in prison, I can make a shank out of it. So there's that.
As long as they let you bring the key with you. Bring the key fob with you.
I need my key fob.
Okay, and also, occasionally you will have to replace the battery in that fob, and those are generally relatively easy to replace. Sometimes there's a little screw that holds the two halves of the fob case together. Sometimes it just snaps together. On our Honda, that's the way it is. You'll find there's a little slot somewhere you can stick a screwdriver in there, pop that open, and replace the battery. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can usually go to the dealer and they will replace it for you for generally a very small charge because it's something that only takes a couple of minutes. And then let's see, who was it here? Somebody in the Jarvis Laurie was saying it would appear Mercedes-Benz is ahead of Tesla in self-driving technology. Is this a valid statement? Neither one of them is really self-driving. Tesla certainly is not truly self-driving. It's driver assist technology, and even what Jarvis Laurie is referring to is the new Drive Pilot system that has just recently gotten approval on the new Mercedes S-Class and the EQS in Germany. This is what's known as a Level 3 conditionally automated system. So the systems we have today, including on Tesla, are so-called Level 2, which means that for the driver, you can take your hands off, or not in the case of Tesla. In some cars like Super Cruise and Blue Cruise, you can take your hands off the wheel, you can take your feet off the pedals, but for the driver, you still have to be eyes on the road and brain on. Level 3 systems, when they're operational, the driver actually doesn't have to watch the road 100% of the time. You still have to remain awake and alert, so you can't climb in the back seat and take a nap, but you can do things like read or text or watch a video. The regulations in Germany for this, actually across Europe, limit the maximum speed where this can be used at up to 60 kilometers per hour or 37 miles per hour, and it has to be geofenced to divided highways. So this is really more of a traffic jam assist system. So if you're in stop and go traffic, you can engage this, and it will do the steering and braking. You don't have to constantly be watching the road ahead. And then once you get to 37 miles an hour, then the driver has to take over full control again. So it's partially unsupervised. Let's see. Jim Ford is asking, what do I think is the best and safest EV auto? Pretty much all modern vehicles, have pretty close to the same level of safety. They all have to meet the same crash safety standards. I don't think anybody has any particular advantage right now. I will hand it back to Leo.
Thank you, Sam.
And I'll talk to you all in 2 weeks, I guess.
And a happy new year, and I'll see you on January 2nd.
All right.
For a fabulous tech guy. Merry Christmas, guy.
All right, bye.
See ya. Well, ho, ho, ho! How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Our website, techguylabs.com. And I'm very sad, after 13 years, to have to say this is the last day for our scribe, our official scribe, James DeRufo. It's a complicated, long story. James didn't want to go, but we had to let him go because the website is changing dramatically. So I guess I'll tell you the story. Otherwise, you're going to think I'm a Scrooge. The Tech Guy Labs website runs on a content management system called Drupal, Drupal. I've been using Drupal since I started the podcast network, which was 2005. Originally, Tech Guy Labs was a wiki. which I really liked. The idea was everybody could add to it. But I realized with the modern internet that everybody, mostly included spammers. So we had such a spam problem with the wiki, I had to kind of make it just a normal website. And then eventually we moved it to Drupal, which we'd been using for the podcast network for some years. Unfortunately, Drupal has changed a lot over the years and has now released a new version that is completely incompatible with the old version. And to top it all off, they're going to stop supporting the old version next year, which means it'll be full of security flaws. It is anyway. Not to knock Drupal, but it's going to leave us out in the cold. We approached the company does the support for the website, Canopy, and said, "Well, how much? Just out of curiosity, how much would it cost to move the old website to the new Drupal so that it would remain secure?" And they gave me a quote that made me spit out my coffee. So at that point, we decided, we're running a Tech Guy website. We'll update that site because, we're going to have to anyway. We're going to update the podcast site, and we'll just move the Tech Guy site over there. So starting next year, like basically now after this show, the whole Tech Guy site will still be techguylabs.com, but when you hit it, it will go over and you'll notice you're on twit.tv, which is our podcast website. And of course, we have a bunch of people running that, and they're just going to take over the scribe portion of it. So James, thank you for your years of service. He said 13 years. I'm blown away. Practically since the beginning. I really appreciate all you've done. He said he was hoping to retire with me. Well, dude, you're retiring roughly at the same time. Let's put it that way. Thank you for your great service. And here's a tip of the cup to James DeRuvo, our official scribe. Last day today, but stay, we'll stay in touch. And starting, I guess, with the January 2nd show, when you hit techguylabs.com, it'll be similar but different. Probably not quite as voluminous. We're not going to have the pick of the week and the app of the week and the tip of the week and all of that stuff. I think basic show notes, which means the links to everything we talk about, kind of a summary of the show, questions and answers. But the most important thing will be there, which is the audio and video from the show. So you will be able to go to that any portion of the show and see the question and the answer there. Replay. So thank you, Mr. James DeRuvo, a good man. It's the end of an era. He says it's been a great ride in our chat room. You can say hi to him in the chat room if you want, irc.twit.tv. Now, on with the show. Brian in Murrieta, California is next. Hi, Brian.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm at Costco.
Oh, okay. Pick up a giant bag of Doritos for me, if you will.
Oh, I was going to pick up John's thing of apple pie for you.
Oh, they have those nice. Are you going to get one of the big ones?
Of course.
There's no small apple pies. Well, maybe if there are, you have to buy 100 of them. I don't know how it works, but yeah. You know what?
Here in Costco is small.
Nothing is small, but the food's good there. I actually enjoy it. Good apple pie. So what can I do for you today?
Okay, I have two questions. I have a high schooler that's starting college next year. Wants to do graphic design.
Oh, exciting. Yes.
Apple computer, laptop. That's not going to kill me in bank.
So the good news is all of the Apple laptops now are running essentially the same processor. The M1, the N1 Pro, and the M1 Max, there are differences, but it's essentially the same. It's all based on the A14, which was in last year's iPhone and iPad. So the good news is you can't really go wrong. I have some knowledge about this because my nephew is a graphic designer. He just graduated from the Rhode Island School of Design. We wanted to give him my mom and I wanted to give him a nice graduation present. And we gave him a new MacBook Pro, one of the big 16-inchers, which he needs because he's going out into his professional life and he needs a lot of GPU, right. a lot of horsepower. The biggest difference between the least expensive Mac laptop, you're definitely going to get the M1 chip. You can still buy less expensive Intel-based Mac laptops, but you're buying the old technology, and I just think you want to get him through the 4 years of school. Let's get him an M1. The least expensive is the MacBook Air, which I think is a great choice for a college kid. It's light. It's very good, easy to use. It starts at $1,000. That's probably closer to your budget than the top of the line. The one I ended up getting for my nephew, which was almost as expensive as you can get, was over $4,000. So there's the range, $1,000 to $4,000. You can pick your poison anywhere in there, but all of them will be good. Did you want to spend? Are you willing to spend a little more than $1,000?
Well, Costco is having a M1 chip with 13-inch. I think $200 off.
Good. That's a great one. That's a great one.
I think it's running around $1,100.
Yeah, that's essentially, in fact, it is identical to the MacBook Air, but with one exception. It has a little more battery because it's a little bit thicker, a little bit, not much, and it has a fan in it. And that means that the processor can run at peak performance a little hotter, a little faster. So, yeah, if you're willing to spend the extra $100, get the 13-inch. It's also, it's a little bit bigger. Is it a bigger screen? Yeah, it's a little bit bigger screen. More battery life is, of course, great for any student. So, yeah, I had the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro 13-inch when it came out last year. I bought it, and I love it. My wife now has it. She's thrilled with it. And I moved on to the M1 Pro, which is also very, very good.
So basically, for a freshman that's starting out, you just need the most powerful one.
Yeah.
So, as long as it has an M1 chip.
Absolutely.
13-inch Apple Pro.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the other thing that really is fairly important. If for a lower price or the same price, you can get more memory with the Air, get the Air. So it may be, and you'll have to look at the specs, that where you're going to sacrifice on that is how much RAM. You want 16 gigs. You do not want the 8 gig one. You want the 16 gig one. And how much storage, how much hard drive. And they start at 512, which is probably okay for him. So I would say whatever you can afford that has 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig hard drive, and an M1 chip of some kind, some stripe.
Got it.
You're going to be good.
I figure RAM's going to be more important than anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the Apple doesn't have an external. Can she hook up an external hard drive?
She can, and she can also hook up an external monitor. So for Valentine's Day, you can give her a hard drive. For her birthday, you give her an external monitor. This is the gift that keeps on giving.
So M1 chip with
16 gigs of RAM. And actually, I think the minimum, I don't think they go lower than 512 gigs. That's plenty of storage. You can get a terabyte or two. But as you point out, she can add an external hard drive. The stuff she's going to work on day to day will be on the hard drive, and 512's enough for that.
What's the difference between the 13-inch and the 16-inch?
They've upgraded the processors. There's more RAM possible. You can go all the way up to 64 gigs if you want. But they've also upgraded the processors to have more they're not faster, oddly enough. They just have more cores. And then the Max, so there's the M1 Pro, and then there's the M1 Max, which has more GPU in it. And ultimately, this is what we gave my nephew, because ultimately when you're using heavy-duty graphics software, having more GPU is going to help a lot. Let me make this clear, though. It'll all work on any one of them, and it'll all work very, very well on any one of them. But what you're buying is time. So it's how long it takes to render the project she's working on. And she's a student. She can go get a cup of coffee. She can relax.
Right.
She can watch an episode of The Office and then come back. If you're working in industry, if you're a programmer or a designer in industry and time is money, that's different. But she's a student. Time is not money yet. She's got lots of time. So I think she's going to be so happy. These are excellent systems. Really highly recommended.
One quick question.
Sure.
Mom also wants to get her, since she's going to graphic design art, she's very artsy. She wants to get her a DSLR camera. I said, well, I think that's going out. It's mirrorless. Of course, they're all expensive.
Yeah.
What would you recommend as far as brand? That's not going to kill me on my bank either.
So everybody now is making mirrorless. This is the future of digital photography in the high end. I'm a Sony guy. And Sony does make some inexpensive mirrorless, like the A6000. There's some very kind of less expensive Sony mirrorless that would be a good choice for her. The other choice is Canon. And, frankly, if you're willing to spend thousands, this is more expensive than the computer. If you're willing to spend thousands of dollars, the Canon R5 and R6, they're amazing. R6 is a little less expensive. Those are excellent as well. Nikon also has mirrorless. At this point, I think it's really down to Canon, Sony, and then there are some, kind of outliers in there. But I would say the reason this is important is not for the body you buy today, but for the lenses you're buying and the future. You kind of buy into one lens style or another, Canon or Sony. So I think for her, I think a Sony, the lower end Sonys would be just fine.
Mirrorless or DSLR?
Mirrorless, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely mirrorless. Much more flexible and all of that. And there are
6,000.
Yeah, I'm sure Costco will have an A6000 in stock. That's fairly inexpensive. They're interchangeable lenses. It's under $1,000. So with the kit lens, it's about $950, and that's I know. I'm sorry. Boy, I felt your pain, man. You got to pay for college too. Let's not forget. And wait till you see how much textbooks cost. So maybe just say, honey, let's wait a little while on the camera.
It's called Cal State University.
Yeah, it's a great school. Hey, look, she's going to a great school. She's going to have a great time. In 4 years, Dad, you're going to feel much better after it's over. Let's just put it that way.
I really appreciate it.
I've been through it. I had 2 kids put through college, and it's expensive. But afterwards, it's a great feeling. Good job.
Sony A6.
A6000, yeah. A6000, yeah.
Oh, by the way, in your segment on halogen lights, I can't wait till they pass the rule just for the fact that I hate halogen because it blinds me. I can't see.
Oh, they're terrible.
Past the car.
Yeah, they're terrible. These new LED lights, the only thing I didn't really get into with Sam is they're distracting as hell. They're all so pretty. And I noticed these days, I'm looking at people's lights, this backup lights, tail lights. My wife's new Mini Cooper, her lights look like the British flag. They're just they're distracting now, I think. No, Dad, you're a good dad. Congratulations to your daughter. That's really exciting. Really exciting.
I'm going to go to the computer section.
Yeah.
You have a great day.
All right. You too. Go spend some money. It's only the beginning. Wait till he sees what textbooks cost. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're talking high tech. Chris Marquardt.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
Oh, doing good.
Good.
Doing good. You do not have an email today. We will talk about stuff. I will not show anything.
I'm shocked.
Yes. I'm shocked too. No, want to talk about family Christmas with a smartphone.
Oh, nice. Now, you heard me talking with the dad about his college-bound kid wanted a camera.
The DSLR?
Yeah. And I said mirrorless, absolutely. I know you agree with me on that. I feel
make her get a used DSLR.
That's a good idea.
These are coming down in price massively right now, and a DSLR it forces you to ramp up your skills, where the mirrorless cameras will give you a lot of what you see is what you get. Like, you don't really have to learn exposure well in these kind of things because the camera does a lot for you. The DSLR will kind of force you into that, and that's a good thing to have. So
that's a good point.
For a used Nikon.
In fact, if she's gonna study graphic arts, she'll probably take a photography class. Wait till then.
Oh yeah.
Wait till then.
My brother studied graphic design, I think for the first, they had to shoot, that was 10 years ago. He had to shoot with a film DSLR.
Yes. So,
and he had to use pencil and stuff for a year. He wasn't allowed to use a computer for a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
My other nephew, Grady, who's still at RISD, he's going to be a photography major. And they let you rent a camera, which is nice. He's been renting a Pentax K1000. Or an Olympus K1000. And no, I guess it's Pentax, which is a film camera. So this is so cute. My mom just bought him one. I said, Mom,
oh no,
where did you find that? I don't know. She said, I paid $120 for it. I said, well, that might be a little more than it's worth, but you know what? It's a good gift. I said, show it to me. And she shows me it doesn't have a lens. I said, you're going to have to get a lens.
Oh.
But the good thing is film cameras are cheap.
120 without a lens.
It's a little bit. She got robbed, but that's okay. That's okay. That's actually a classic camera, the Pentax K1000. It's a classic.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's what he'd been renting.
Yeah, there's a lot in the medium range. The Canon, even the 5D Mark IIs are still good.
So that's interesting. So people are selling off. They're selling off their old mirrored DSLRs to get mirrorless, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of people are switching, and that saturates the market pretty quickly.
And so I got Henry an R5, but I also got the adapter so he can use all those nice Canon lenses from the 5D.
Yeah.
That's a good,
the ones that you have.
Yeah. Well, he has them.
Your lens stash.
Yeah, I gave him my stash. He's got the best stash ever. Best stash
awesome.
Ever. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, we'll talk in a few. The show today brought to you by userway.org. You heard we talked earlier to Julian Varga, who is all about accessibility, helping blind users access the phone, access the computer, and most importantly, access the internet. That is really job one for anybody who owns a website. And fortunately, the good news is it is the legal responsibility, by the way, according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. Any website is a public entity and so has to be accessible. Fortunately, I can take all the burden of that off your shoulders by just telling you about UserWay. I know, look, I'm sympathetic. I run websites and I'm always, confronted with this thing. I want to make it accessible. I know it's my legal responsibility. It's also what I want to do. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't use our website. If you're blind, I want you to be able to use a screen reader and so forth. But then there's this cost issue, right? The idea that what is it going to take to make this accessible? Well, UserWay has solved this for us. Let me tell you, it's an incredible AI-powered solution that tirelessly enforces the hundreds of web content accessibility guidelines, WCAG they call it. And it does more than an entire team of developers with just one line of JavaScript. That's the thing. It's so easy. And it doesn't matter if how you're are using WordPress or Shopify or Wix or AEM or Sitecore or SharePoint. It doesn't matter. There's plugins for some and others. It's just a line of JavaScript. For my hand-coded site, just a line of JavaScript. UserWay seamlessly integrates. It helps your business meet its compliance goals and it improves the experience for all your users. I think that's pretty darn important. With one line of JavaScript. Now, you can go to the UserWay site. There's a little scanner there. It'll tell you if your site is ADA compliant. It'll tell you what's wrong, what needs to be fixed. Then it's just a matter of putting in that line of JavaScript. It's very affordable. It was very relieved at how affordable it was. It's less than we pay for, I don't know what, the special fonts, the web fonts we buy. It's not expensive. And it is used by so many, more than 1 million websites trust UserWay to make their site accessible, including some of the biggest businesses in the world. Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, FedEx, UNICEF uses UserWay. And when you need to scale, they're going to scale right along with you. Auto-generate image alts using their computer vision. It writes image descriptions for you. It remediates complex nav menus. Those are really a problem for screen readers. Pop-ups are accessible, vague link violations. And you'll get a detailed report of all the violations that were fixed. And you can interact with UserWay's software to add more. If you want to make those alt tags even more descriptive, you can easily do that. And it works with everything, WordPress, Shopify, Wix. Just ask Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri, what she thinks of UserWay. Susan?
Hi, I'm Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. You won't hear me say something like this too often. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're looking for. But every day, that's what the internet is like for millions of people with disabilities. UserWay fixes all of that with just one line of code.
UserWay can make any website fully accessible, ADA compliant. With UserWay, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly. They can customize it. It's this layer, this accessibility layer in the browser. All browsers do it. Your site needs to do it too. 60 million Americans with disabilities will thank you. Userway.org/twit. You'll get 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Great way to showcase your brand's commitment to all those millions of people with disabilities. Userway, and it's the right thing to do, and it's the legal thing to do. Userway.org/twit, making the internet accessible for everyone. Thank you, Userway! As our very own Red Baron, James DeRuvo, sails off into the sunset. This was his request. That's for you, James. Merry Christmas, my friend. Isn't that great? I love it. Rex in Vista, California is next. Hello, Rex. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, Leo. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What's up?
Well, I've been a Windows user forever, and I have recently decided to jump ship to the Chrome operating system. I went out and bought a very, very nice Chromebook that I'm incredibly happy with.
Nice. Which one did you get?
I got the Acer Spin 713.
Perfect.
Neat little machine.
Isn't that nice? All aluminum body. That is the one I would have told you to get. That's great.
Okay, good. So anyhow, I've been, doing the old side-by-side, trying, what I could do with Windows. And the Chromebook does everything that I need to do at this point. There's one out point that I have with the Chromebook that I'm trying to solve. I really, really, really like Microsoft Outlook. I'm running a very old version, 2007.
Yeah.
So I've been looking for something.
There's nothing like Outlook. Yeah. I'm just going to say that right now. So with Chrome OS, essentially, you have to use apps and extensions that work with the Chrome browser. That's what that does. You can add Android apps too. And by the way, if your Spin should support the Android App Store if you haven't installed that. And there is an Outlook on the App Store.
Yeah, I tried that. I've installed a few of the different apps. I installed the Outlook Android app, and it's very nice. And
it's not the same, is it, though? Yeah.
But I'm looking to see if there's something even better.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
No.
So you can go to office.com. I'm sure you've done that. Microsoft, you have a Microsoft account, so you'd log in with your Microsoft account. And Microsoft has web versions of the entire Office suite, including Outlook. Again, not quite as powerful as the standalone. It may be a lot closer, though. It may be close enough. And that is a lifesaver, frankly, I think. Actually, office.com for Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook.com for now. See, that's their Outlook Mail. I don't think that's anywhere close to the same thing. But that's what Microsoft wants you to use if you're using a Chromebook. Maybe they don't. Maybe this is a subtle way of saying you shouldn't have bought a Chromebook, dude. I think that's really your best bet. I'll look around and see if we can find anything else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's just not, Microsoft isn't going to make it as good as the Office that you buy. I'm trying to think of, the only good news is there are a lot of other mail programs you can try, especially in Android, that might have features you like, but nothing is going to be like Outlook. I guess that's the way to say it, Rex.
Yeah. It's a fantastic program. I've been using it forever. And like I say, though, I'm kind of over all the Windows drama.
No kidding. No kidding. I'm just annoyed.
Retired.
So here's somebody's saying now. This is Cop King in our chat room says he really likes EM client, but I don't know if you can run that on a Chromebook. It is very Outlook-like. You have your calendar, your address book, everything's all in one. But I don't know if that works on Chromebooks. I think it does. Maybe it has a web interface. Let's see. Mac OS, MS Exchange, Outlook, Office 365, iCloud, G Suite. Well, if it works with G Suite, it must have a web interface. Anyway, look at the EM client. He's right. This is very close.
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
very close.
EM client.
EMclient.com. I'm not sure how you would use that on a Chromebook, but if it's available for it, there'll be a way. There must be a web interface because it says it works with Google's G Suite, but maybe they mean on a Mac or Windows machine. I hate to do this to you because now I'm getting your hopes up, but this is what you give up with a Chromebook is you give up some of these desktop apps that are that you're kind of reliant on.
Yeah. But like say, I've really enjoyed. There's been several times where I've fired up the laptop and it's choked for some reason, and I pull out the Chromebook and bingo, I'm in and doing my work. So
no security issues. They're not pushing Edge on you every 3 seconds. I think it's a cleaner choice. If you really need standalone desktop apps, then you can go full bore Linux, because basically a Chromebook is a stripped down Linux, and you can within the Chromebook run Linux, and then you have a lot more choices. I guess my suggestion would be to wean yourself off of Outlook.
I think that's quite honestly half the battle. I've used the Gmail interface a couple of times. I'm like, okay.
I know it's hard because you're so used to the features of Outlook. But Outlook is it's an outlier in email programs. It does much more than any other email program. It's really kind of old school. And it's very corporate, so it's not. That's why you don't see it on other platforms so much.
I see. Okay, well, I'll check around. I just thought I listen to your show when I'm out working on my car.
Nice.
And enjoy.
What kind of car, Rex?
I have a 65 Chevy Chevelle that I'm restoring.
You're restoring it? Oh,
yeah.
That's nice. My wife completely restored a Camaro from that era. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
What fun.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not a mechanic by training, but these old cars are so simple-minded. You can, Google, YouTube, and a little bit of reading. And
well, that's why I asked, because no modern car can anybody work on.
No.
I knew it had to be vintage. I knew it did. Yeah. Well, Rex, have a good afternoon working on your car. That sounds like a perfect way to spend the day.
You betcha.
Thanks, Rex.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks for listening. Take care.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Marquardt, let's get ready.
Yes.
It's time for the photo guy. Chris Marquardt, my personal photo sensei, is here at sensei.photo. He joins us every week to help us take better pictures. He's not a digital bigot. He likes film. In fact, your advice for that father, the college girl going into a graphics design, was not to get a modern camera.
Get her a digital SLR, one with a mirror. And the main reason is, well, there are two reasons. First of all, people are switching to mirrorless, so those are getting sold as used cameras.
Yeah, people are selling their old ones, and what cost $3,000 new is now, a third of that.
Much less.
Yeah,
much less. And the second reason is, it's a really good tool to really learn the things, because it won't do everything for you. So you have a chance to practice that muscle, that creative muscle, and the tech muscle, and that's all a good thing.
It may even be, and for that reason, a lot of graphics design programs, when you take photography classes, start you with a film camera, kind of a very primitive, like my nephew, K1000, Pentax K1000, a camera they stopped making 25 years ago. But you're going to really learn then. All right, so
very true.
This week we are talking about any kind of camera, taking those holiday photos.
Taking those holiday photos, a family Christmas, well, preferably with a smartphone, because I guess the majority of people listening are going to use a smartphone.
You have any modern smartphone. Right? You have an amazing camera in your pocket, made for these events.
Now here. Here are a few tips. The most essential one, really at the top of the list, is wipe that lens, and I mean it, because with your mirrorless camera, with your DSLR, you wouldn't touch the lens, would you? And if you would probably take out a cloth and be very careful wiping this off.
There's schmutz on my lens. Look at that. You're right.
We have greasy fingers. We are touching these things. And especially around the Christmas tree with Christmas lights, there's high contrast. You will see those streaks. They will really get in the way. Make it my habit, but the motion I do all the time. I have the camera and I wipe it on my shoulder. You can do this. The lenses are...
You don't have to go fancy. You just wipe it off with anything.
No. Okay. Wipe it off your pants, off your shoulder. Those lenses are sapphire coated. They will take it. So you don't have to have a cloth with you. Second thing is background. With any photography, you want to take pictures and you want to kind of be aware of what's going on in the background. You have a candle growing out of someone's head, or the Christmas tree making antlers with someone's head. That's the kind of stuff that is, there's something to watch out for. A third tip, flash. Do a test. See what your phone does when you use its built-in flash, because some of them are fairly good with making the colors right and everything. Some of them are not. So do a test with some of your friends. Just take a picture of them with the flash on or with off. Modern smartphones are good without the flash.
They don't. Yeah, both the iPhone and the Pixel 6, they have these dark modes, these night modes that are designed not to use the flash, and I think they look a lot better. Sometimes
they do.
They're too good. The Pixel 6 makes dark rooms look like they're lit. So
almost too much. Almost too much, right?
Yeah.
Next tip, use those lenses. You have a camera. If you have something like a 13 Pro, an iPhone or something, that has a wide-angle lens, it has a telephoto lens, it has a normal wide lens, and it has a macro lens. And those make really interesting photography. A wide shot for an overview, a macro of some details, maybe of the Christmas tree, some ornaments, some candles, stuff like that. And then use the modes. The phones give you a lot of different modes. Again, I use an iPhone, so I'm using that as an example. Portrait mode, for example. You can nicely blur that background. Or cinema mode if you shoot video, where you have the focus move between different people and make it a bit more expressive. Or night mode, or even time-lapse mode. That's been on the phones for ages. But if you put that smartphone in a holder and, I don't know, do a time lapse of setting the table for the Christmas dinner or something, it's going to be memorable. So
that's a good idea.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah, the Google phones have a really nice feature. They wait to you could set them up on a little tripod or something, and they wait until people are smiling, and then they take the photo. They're automatic. They wait for a smile. I think that's so cool.
So another one with people, especially with fast motion, kids. I'm thinking pets. Fast motion. You have your camera has, or your smartphone has, a burst mode built in. On an iPhone, you don't even have to enable it. You touch the shutter and swipe it to the left, and it will take a burst of pictures. And what that does is, but with fast moving subjects, you'll get a bunch of 10, 15 pictures. And you can then just choose the one that is the best one out of those. You could select the one and dump all the others, and that's wonderful with fast-moving subjects. Live mode. One more, live mode on iPhones. I know Android, there's apps that do that. On the iPhone, it's built in. If you enable that, every time you take a picture, it will actually shoot a short snippet of video, a few seconds. And that is... it's going to create interesting memories, different ones than from still photos. You can still use them as still photos, but you have short video snippets without even noticing that. So it's a pretty cool feature in there.
What's amazing is everybody has a camera now at all times, a high quality, good camera. And so I think
multiple cameras.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Every
multiple
event
ones.
is getting documented like crazy. What made me think of this, Disney Plus in the U.S. has a very long, like 9 hours of the Beatles recording "Let It Be." That is Peter Jackson, the director, restored this video, and it's amazing because you're seeing the Beatles in 4K from 50 years ago, and it looks like they're right there. And it's unusual because this was all filmed because they were the Beatles. But nowadays, Everything is filmed with multiple cameras from multiple angles in ultra high quality. Everything is documented. So it's nothing special, right? We got it all. So record every Christmas. I don't know who's going to watch this in 50 years, but, if they want to.
You might be surprised. You might be surprised.
Do you shoot any video at all, or do you just do stills?
No, I do video, and I use something like Live Mode that shoots short video snippets whenever I take a photo.
Yeah,
that is just brilliant because it will create different kind of memory from just the still photos.
Although I have to say, I'll because on the iPhone you press and hold it and it starts moving and you get a little bit of sound. It always is too short. I always say, I wish there were a few more seconds of that. So one of the things I've always done is shot about 5 seconds, not more, not less, about 5 seconds of video that I can intersperse with stills. It's just enough to get the flavor without being boring, right?
And by the way, shortcut for the iPhone, if you're in photo mode, swipe the shutter button to the right and it'll shoot video. So don't even have to change that mode.
So shoot a little, take a lot of stills. We're going to do tonight, we're doing Christmas cookie making. Bunch of stills, nice to have. But just 1 or 2 little 5 second, 3 to 6 second clips. Just so you could stick in there. And then you just get you hear the music, you hear people laughing. You're not going to get whole conversations or anything, but it's kind of fun. I like it. It's good inspiration. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Chris is in Germany where Christmas was invented. So I'm joking, obviously not. But the Christmas tree, Stille Nacht. I mean, there's a lot of great traditions there. So I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful.
Tannenbaum, yes.
Tannenbaum. You're going to have a wonderful holiday. We will see you again January 2nd. Chris Marquardt, photo guy. Go to sensei.photo and keep taking those pictures. So, yes, your next week is off.
Yes.
Of course, because of Omicron, you're probably not doing any get-togethers or anything. You're probably just going to have a quiet.
No, none of that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We are in for quite a ride.
Oh my God. Yeah. What happened? And in Germany, it's the vaccination rate's very high. I guess it's just breakthrough.
No. 70%.
Well, that's high for me.
Not enough.
It's only 61%.
By far not enough.
It's not enough. You're right.
By far, they are doing the booster campaign now, and they are pretty aggressive. But that won't do anything for Omicron, at least not until January, February. So
I'm reassessing everything, all my plans. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough on you. All my plans. Jeez. Yeah. Well, stay safe. You and Monica, I hope you have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
Yeah, and we'll see you
enjoy
next year. Happy New Year.
Enjoy the holidays and see you then. Take care.
Thanks
for everything.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye. Well, it's not just Germany. It's all of Europe. It's Omicron is what it is. And the problem is there's, the 30%. As far as I know, we're still doing the Alaska cruise, but boy, everything is up in air right now, Big Island. I don't know what yes, as far as I know. And they have, the cruise lines are still operating. Of course, they have heightened precautions. Everybody will have to be vaccinated. They may by then even say everybody will have to have a booster. They are reducing the capacity on the cruise. But as far as I know, still planned. And I think Holland America is sailing right now. So I don't anticipate that being changed. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. That will be, maybe we can celebrate by then, I hope. Anyway. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I like this time of year. I do. It's cozy. It's fun. We got a nice pseudo fire in the television screen behind me. It's just, it feels cozy. I'm just saying. It's digital cozy. It's a new kind of cozy. Lewis on the line from Dayton, Ohio. Hello, Lewis.
Hi, Leo. Got a question for you. The local broadcasting here, 700, I'd rather listen to Dan Hort and Dave Lapham than listen to the broadcasters on the TV. Is there a way to hook up my transistor radio to advance or slow because I'm usually like 45 seconds to a minute.
I know exactly what you're thinking Because I was, when our team, the Giants, were in the World Series some years ago, I hated the national broadcasters. I wanted to hear my hometown heroes. So what I did is I would, if you're using a TiVo or some other device, I paused, and a lot of modern DVRs, cable boxes, TiVos, you can do this. Pause the broadcast, and then start listening. Remember, audio is faster; it's ahead of video. So start listening to, and I would listen to the local broadcasts on the internet, not even through the radio, through TuneIn Radio or your CBS or iHeartMedia, whatever you use to listen to your local station. So I'd tune in the local station there, and I'd wait for the crack of a bat. And I'd synchronize it on the crack of a bat, and you're actually able to get pretty darn close. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're not worrying about lip sync. You just want the crack of the bat to be roughly equal. It's when a ball hits a ball. And I don't know what you do in football. Maybe you'd have to time it to that crazy lady who's always screaming in the background at football games. I don't know what you would do. You'd find some audio moment to synchronize it to, obviously.
I do listen to iHeartRadio as I'm approaching the football stadium, but once the game starts, it goes to a default pre-recorded show. Isn't
that frustrating? And then that's, of course, due to the NFL's regulations about local market. They don't want to. I think this is crazy at this point. They don't want to lose ticket sales because it's being broadcast locally. Sigh.
Well, looks like they don't have any option then. It looks like
if it's being blacked out in your area, yes, there are options, but you're going to have to play some tricks. For instance, use a VPN to pretend you're not, in Dayton. I'm in Green Bay. They'll black out the Packers games instead.
I subscribe to your VPN that you.
Yeah, ExpressVPN, our sponsor, that would work. So
it still will not let me.
Oh, they're too smart. They're too smart. They must be using. So you're doing it on your phone, huh?
Yeah.
They must be using the GPS, the location of the phone. Here's another thing to do: go into the settings on your phone and retract location settings from iHeart.
Okay.
So iHeart and all apps have to request of the operating system location information. And both Android and iOS have ways to disable that, for privacy reasons. Well, it also happens to be handy if you're approaching the stadium. Are you a Browns fan? Who are you following?
The Bengals.
Bengals, of course. I think as you approach, what I would suggest is retracting location permissions. That might even be sufficient. I'll be curious, though. It may be they're smart enough to say, well, without location permissions, we're not going to let you listen to anything. I don't know. So see what happens.
Yeah. So even if I don't pay a fee to iHeartRadio. If I paid a fee to iHeartRadio, we think that would.
I don't think so because it's the NFL's rules. It's these blackout rules. So the same thing happens, and now there is one other option. You can pay a fee to the NFL. Actually, I have to ask about this. So a table in our chat room says as far as Major League Baseball, if you deny location permissions, the MLB app stops working. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same for iHeart. Can you pay the NFL and eliminate blackouts? Honestly, I think you probably can't because, again, they're so worried about ticket sales, which is ironic because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure the Bengals sell out every Sunday.
They didn't last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That's probably why. Okay. So if your team is not selling out, right, you can also – so this is a good one from G. Coolidge. The Bengals and every team has what they call the Bengals radio network. Your Cincinnati station may be blacked out, but you might find a station farther out on the network that's rebroadcasting the game that isn't blacked out.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. James also says, now that's what I'm asking, James. Does the NFL app, if you buy the app, does it still honor blackouts? Or do they figure, well, you're giving us some money, we'll let you hear the local game? I'm not sure about that. But that might be another one to investigate, NFL's own app. and see. But you know what? They may not have the local broadcasters, though. You want the local broadcasters, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're favorable. Just like when I listen.
I know.
To,
I want the homers. Yeah.
I thought it was a homie, so he gives me a fair.
I want the you listen to the network guys, and half the time they're against your team. I don't.
Right.
At least it feels that way. Oh, the Niners are going to lose again. No, I don't want to hear that.
That's right. Yeah.
I am very sympathetic. Go Bengals. I wish you the best. We had a good game last week. Wow, what a game. I think the trick is, and maybe one of the ways to find out what there are probably many tricks, is to go somewhere like the Bengals fan forum. I guarantee you there's conversations about this. And there might be some tips there as well. Online is your best friend on stuff like this. Or on reddit.com/r/Cincinnati Bengals. See if you can find the local experts who have figured out ways around this, because I guarantee you somebody has. But there's some things to try anyway. Turn off location permissions, use a VPN, and then maybe look for a smaller station out of the market that's rebroadcasting and it won't be blacked out. And maybe paying the NFL a little VIG for the NFL app, that ought to give you, access. But I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't. These teams are really trying to protect local ticket sales. That's the reason for those blackouts. And I think if you're a fan, I figure there's going to be a way to black it out. Hey, John, is there any way we could have some crackling sounds from the digital fire? Because I just feel like it's nice. It feels warm. It looks good, but I don't get the crackling. Okay. You're telling me that you can bring up some crackling. Let me figure out where I could put that crackling sound. You say Skype 4 has crackling sounds on it. Let me just try this here. Am I going to get some crackling? Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah, much nicer. Now I feel like the holidays are here. 8888 Ask Leo. The website techguylabs.com. Boy, that's good. I can really feel that. Now I need a hot chocolate. John, can you get a digital hot chocolate out here? 8888 Ask Leo. The website techguylabs.com. That address, by the way, continues to work. Sorry, we're losing James DeRuvo, our scribe, and we're losing the dedicated site. But with that address now will bring you to twit.tv, where we will have the show notes for you. techguylabs.com. At least that is not going to change. Oh man, that's nice. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy final show of 2021, onward and upward to 2022. This is the show we talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all things digital, including my digital fire in the digital fireplace behind me. If you hear the crackling logs, that is also digital. Do not fear. The studio is not on fire. In fact, the only warmth radiating from this digital fire is from the heat of the processor running it. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number if you want to talk high tech. Very good news. If you are a YouTube TV subscriber, we talked about this yesterday. ABC, Disney, ESPN, all pulled from YouTube TV over the weekend because Disney, which owns all of the above, couldn't make a deal with Google, which owns YouTube TV. Well, they've made a deal. And the good news is ESPN, FX, your local ABC station, all be coming back to your YouTube TV, live and on-demand content. And the thing that was really an eye-opener, if you had been using YouTube TV's DVR feature, which is, I think, a great feature. It's one of the reasons I like YouTube TV. You could just say, yeah, remember, anytime my 49ers play, you make a recording of that. All of those on channels owned by Disney just, poof, disappeared. Well, guess what? They're coming back. All your previous recordings in your library and your DVR, magically it will reappear. The price goes back. YouTube TV is expensive to $65 a month, But because they did promise a $15 discount for people who were affected by this, they say everybody who was impacted will receive a one-time $15 discount. So you kind of get a deal for the month. But it's, as always with these, it's just crazy. You know, it's these carriage disagreements. I want you to pay me this much. I don't want to pay that much. I'm going to pay you this much. And they go back and forth. It's a game of chicken. Usually the game of chicken resolves before anybody we users get impacted. This was one of the few that actually broke through. And on Friday, all 18 channels owned by Disney disappeared from YouTube TV. But Google has made a deal. They've solved it, and you should have everything back if you are a YouTube TV subscriber. I suspect this is bad for YouTube TV because it just makes people feel like it's unreliable. But I guarantee you the same thing happens everywhere with cable systems, with Roku, with Apple TV. Maybe not Apple TV, but it happens with – actually, I'm sure it does with Apple TV. It happens with everybody because this is a constant back and forth negotiation. And it is really the best thing to liken it to is a game of chicken. Somebody's going to blink, and you just hope they blink before you don't get to see your football game or something like that. 8888 Ask Leo. James is next from Jurupa Valley, California. Hello, James.
Hello, Leo. I'm a long-time listener.
That's nice. Where's Jurupa?
It's between Fontana, Eastvale, and Riverside. Would be the 15 freeway and the 60 freeway.
I know where that is, but I think you're the first person ever to call from Jurupa Valley. So welcome.
Well, we're kind of backward out here.
Don't have a lot of computers out there? No, of course you do.
Yeah, we got a lot of computers.
Of course you do. What can I do for you?
I'm stymied by these QR codes. I don't understand them, and how do they work, and why do we have them, and all that.
Oh, that's such a good question. You know, when it first emerged, these QR codes, and you started to see them on, the first place I saw them was not even in the U.S., was overseas, especially in Japan. You'd see them on ads in the trains or on the subways and stuff, and I thought, this is never going to catch on. This is a terrible idea. It's just a block of gobbledygook, it looks like, right? And the idea is you aim your phone at it, and it will then, there'll be information stored in it that your phone will display. Most often it's a web address. It was invented in 1994, of course, by a Japanese company. You see various kinds of barcodes, like all your food. In fact, we call them a barcode because all your food has barcodes that look like bars, right? The QR code is not just another kind of barcode. It's a machine-readable code. QR codes tend to be square. QR stands for quick response. But is it quick? I don't know, because you have to pull out your phone. The good news is both iPhone and Android, the modern versions of them, you don't need to have a special app. It used to be in the old days, you have to download a QR code reading app. But if you just open up the camera and aim it at a QR code, the camera itself will pop up a little pop-up where the QR code is. If you tap that, it'll bring you to that website. So it started with the automotive industry. UPC barcodes appear. Yeah, I think you're doing it right now. I hear the sound. Barcodes, part of the Universal Product Code, the UPC, appeared in grocery stores. It's why, I think it's really why you saw the rise of scanners in grocery stores. Now when you check out, no clerk doesn't have to enter the, amount in a keypad. Maybe they do in Jurupa Valley, but out in the modern world, they just scan that thing over that, that plate of glass in the checkout counter. And in fact, that's why grocery stores started to add check yourself out things, which never work. I don't think they save anybody any time. They certainly save no money because you have to get employees over there to fix it, et cetera, et cetera. How is a QR code generated? There's software that does it. You can even go online. If you search for QR code generator, you can make your own QR codes. It'll say, well, what's the message? The message can be just plain text. It can be Merry Christmas. It could say, Merry Christmas from James. You could put that on your Christmas card. And people go, oh, I wonder what that QR code is. And they aim at it, and it just says, Merry Christmas from James. It could be something like that. Most often, though, like I said, it's a website. Sometimes it's an application This is another common use. A lot of times when you go downtown, the parking meters will have a QR code on them. You aim your phone at it. It downloads an application which you can use to pay your parking meter. You probably don't care how it's generated. It's just done. It's done by computer. And by the way, it doesn't have to be square. A lot of applications have attempted to create barcodes that are less, weird. Snapchat, for instance, has its own kind of barcode. I think Apple does as well for its messages, circular and other things. But ultimately, there's always kind of a checkerboard of black and white squares, and that's actually binary code. That's the code the computer can read that tells it. That's where the message is encoded. So we see QR codes everywhere now. I thought, there's no way this is going to catch on. This is crazy. Maybe your first experience with a QR code was with something called, remember the QCat? This was a terrible idea that did, in fact, flop. You could get them free at Radio Shacks. They looked like a cat, but really was a barcode reader that you'd plug into your computer with a USB key. And for a brief moment, magazines would publish little QR codes. And the idea was, instead of typing in a web address from the magazine, remember magazines? They used to print stuff on dead trees and mail it to you. Not email. No. Somebody would come to your door and give it to you. And then on it, there would be a QR code, and you'd have this little QCat, and you'd run it across the QR code. It had to be connected by USB to your computer. Actually, I think in the day, it was serial ports. I don't even think it was USB. And then your computer would go, oh, and open up a web page. A lot of work for very little payoff. That did die. I did not think we'd see QR codes all over the place. But we do now. They're everywhere. And that's what they are. It's essentially a link to a website. Could be a message. Could be, there are other ways to use it. There are, for instance, contact managers, address book programs that will give you a QR code that you can show to somebody. They can aim their phone at it and get all of your information that way. That's kind of a good use, right? It's funny how sometimes technologies, which at least I look at and go, no, nobody's going to want to do that. And they take off. And there's a good example. So I hope that helps, James. You can explain that to the everybody else in Harupa. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. It's a great question. That's I love that kind of question because it's something we all see all the time, QR codes. And we take them for granted. And where did this come from? Well, Japan, of course. That's right. QR codes in restaurants now. I forgot about that. I hate that. Because of COVID, they don't want to hand out menus. So you go to a restaurant and there's a QR code taped onto the table, and you have to use the phone to see what to order. Rod Pyle, famous person on Bill Shatner's show. Woohoo! Did you get to meet Bill?
No. We just shot in a house up in Mount Washington in L.A., but I have to tell you, I've done a bunch of those things, and as you know, I used to work for History Channel, and this was a big, really incredible crew. I think there were 11 or 12 people there, and I'm used to 3. So this was pretty cool.
Wow.
And it was fun.
People can see it right now on the History Channel, right?
Yeah, it ran, I guess, for the first time on Friday night. They didn't tell me. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, you're on TV."
I know. I got so many messages from people saying, "I saw Rod."
It's on Amazon Prime, so you can go buy it for $2 if you're happy to watch standard def. Yeah,
we'll plug it. We'll plug it on the show. Mike B saw it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. What do you want to talk about today?
I think I hate to come off as an Elon fanboy all the time, but this Person of the Year thing has caused quite a few ripples, both some plus and some minus. So I think we got to talk about that. Yeah,
it's okay because Sam hates Elon. So between the two of you, it all balances out. I
understand why, but
I don't know what to think. I'm starting to think he's just nuttier and nuttier.
He's kind of. Yeah, he's almost socially neutral by the time you factor everything in. You can hate him, you can love him, but the balance is
he's changing the world. He's changing the world. You
And he's
cannot
doing
deny
stuff.
that. Yeah, he's
I mean,
doing
he's
stuff.
a rich guy that's doing something other than just counting money and making more.
I wish he'd just keep his nutty ideas to himself. That's all. Get off the Twitter, right?
He's not the first guy that we would wish off Twitter, right?
No. Oh, man. If I have one gripe against Twitter, everybody I know, everybody in the tech journalism loves Twitter, right? This is like, it's the greatest resource. I love it. But if there is one thing I blame Twitter for, it's this. It's just it lets us see the worst, the feats of clay in our heroes.
Yeah, and the self-control is the problem.
Nobody has it. Right. I learned that early on. I got in a Twitter tiff. A Twitter tiff that I regret to this day, and lost some relationships as a result, and I learned you don't just shut up. You don't have to react to every tweet.
Mike B thinks I look like Steve Wozniak. It's the jowls. I know.
No, you got the beard.
I don't eat Cheetos by the pallet, so there's that.
Yeah, I never thought of it, but he's right. You do. Steve's a good friend. And I've spent some time sitting in his lap, and so I know. But
that's metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking. All right.
Yeah, okay.
We'll talk in 10. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Spaceman Rod Pyle coming up in just a little bit. We're going to talk about Time Magazine's Person of the Year. A little bit of a controversial pick. But first, let's go to York, PA, and say hello to Jay. Hello, Jay.
Oh, hi, Leo.
You're on the air.
Yeah, good.
I, somewhere in my collection, I believe, have the key to the city for York, Pennsylvania.
I'd be curious to see what that unlocks.
I know. Nothing, I'm sure. But more than, I think it's 20 years ago, we went out there for a public appearance for the Screensavers show, and they gave us the key to the city.
We should have known that. I was watching you back then.
Yeah, it was the Screensavers on Tech TV. Yeah, you could have come to the high. Well, what can I do for you today?
Well, I think this is going to be an easy question. Basically, I'm on Verizon currently, and I'm thinking about switching over to Visible. I have an unlocked Samsung phone, S21, and I'm concerned about if I still will get the security and the Android updates.
Yes. The answer is yes. So the fun thing about Visible is it is Verizon. What Verizon realized is there are a lot of people who don't think of their smartphone as a phone, think of it more as a computer. And I'm one of those people. I don't want phone calls. I don't answer the phone. And so those people care more about the price of data than they do about the price of phone calls. So the whole point of Visible, I think, is to be for the folks who are data focused. But as far as I know, you get all the benefits of being a Verizon customer. You still get, it's the Verizon towers. You're going to get all the 5G, any security, spam call blocking, things like that Verizon offers. You still get. The whole idea really is you get a better deal if you don't care so much about phone calls.
All right.
I think it's actually a great idea. Verizon's also responding. Remember, Verizon has always been the high-priced carrier. And their response was, yeah, but we're the best, so you don't mind paying more. We have the most coverage, the best towers, best speeds. They certainly are leaders in this all millimeter wave 5G. It's definitely, they're the best at that. But what they realize is a lot of companies like T-Mobile, some of the MVNOs, the smaller companies like Mint Mobile are eating their lunch because they're offering lower prices and people, go for the price. So Verizon's trying to find a way without, and everybody does this, without diminishing the main brand, the Verizon brand, take care of people who would otherwise go to T-Mobile. And I think Visible is there. And by the way, I pronounce it Visible because the I's in it is visible.com, but the I's in the logo are missing. So I always think of it as Visible. I think absolutely just check the rules because it's the plans are a little different than the plans on Verizon. But I think ultimately, if you are a data focused person, it's a better deal.
Yeah, that's. I looked at the plan details, and they did say something about deprioritization.
Yeah.
Peak times and that sort of thing.
That happens with all MVNOs, even company-run MVNOs. You know, every AT&T has Cricket, T-Mobile has, I forgot what they have, but they all have their own, house brand. And that is one thing that happens is that the people who pay the big price get access to the tower, priority access. But unless you live near a very congested tower, I've never experienced it. I use Mint Mobile. I've never experienced that. So I think they put it in there so that, if 100 people are trying to use that one tower downtown, in downtown York, and they can only support 90 of them, they're going to slow down the visible people. That's basically it. And I don't think you're going to see it. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Okay, great. Well, that's really looking to find out.
Yeah,
sounds like good news.
My I think it's just a good idea. It's Verizon's way of responding to the market, which usually means lower prices, right? How do you respond to competition? Well, you lower prices. That's why competition's a good thing. Now Joe's in New York City. He's using Mint Mobile. Again, Mint Mobile is MVNO, a mobile virtual network operator. They resell T-Mobile service, and that's one of the things MVNOs, will say is, look, if T-Mobile comes along and says we need all the bandwidth on that tower, you're going to get slowed down. But Joe says, I live in New York, which I would imagine are the most congested towers in America, and he says he never sees a problem. And he saves money, right? I think that's the idea of visible. Yeah, there are going to maybe be some negatives. Yeah, I don't know specifically about some of the security features, the spam blocking and stuff. I'm going to guess that's the same, but you probably should look. They are always going to try to. They're going to somehow try to make it less good than the high-priced one. Okay. Visible says, we keep costs low with really smart people. Oh, please. Oh, please. Are you saying the people at Verizon are not as smart? No, it's the same people. And digitally simple yet extraordinary experiences, and all the extra savings goes to our members. Okay, I don't know what that means. No one should have to trade quality for price. Okay. I guess. You're going to have to dig deep in the fine print to figure out what you don't get with Visible. I think, prioritizing towers is generally the big thing. It's really interesting to look at. Once you know that Visible is owned by Verizon, you can see the difference in marketing is really aimed at a younger generation. That's, it's fun, they say. Our emoticon says it all. Okay. So this is the fun Verizon. I got it. Okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, spaceman, Rod Pyle comes down to earth for us. Next, stay right here. It's time to head into space with our spaceman, Rod Pyle, the author of so many great books, including First on the Moon, all about the Apollo landing, Interplanetary Robots, True Stories of Space Exploration, Amazing Stories of the Space Age, Blueprint for a Battlestar, and that's just a fraction of his output. He's also the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra, the official magazine of the National Space Society at space.nss.org. But you know what? The most important thing Mr. Pyle does is joins us every week to talk about space. My dear friend. Hello, Rod.
Good to see you, and you're looking very dapper today, I have to say. I need to send you another crummy T-shirt.
That's another thing Rod does is send me
the run.
Joke T-shirts. Rod is, of course, the guy to go to when you're talking about space exploration. We saw you on Unexplained Friday night on the History Channel.
Unexplained.
Do you know Bill Shatner? I mean, I feel like, man, I'm sitting here with a star.
I wish. I've met a lot of guys from the Trek canon, Patrick Stewart and the guy that played Worf and so on and so forth, just from working around the show.
Poor guy. He will always be known as the guy who played Worf.
I know. But I never met Shatner. But I know a lot of people that have worked with him, and he's a very colorful man. So
Explained, Unexplained, I should say, which is a History Channel show. And what were you on talking about?
Mars. So that's like my third Mars documentary. And, as I was saying on the break, it was really interesting because I used to work for the History Channel a lot, and we had crews of like 3 or 5 people. And this show had a crew of, I think, 12, and they took over this Craftsman mansion up in Mount Washington in L.A. And yeah, it was a great shoot, and I got to blather on for hours.
It's on Amazon Prime, the latest episode of Unexplained, if you want a couple of bucks, if you want to see Rod Pyle in action. Now, this week, one of the big stories of the week, and it happens every year around this time. Time Magazine names their person of the year. One year it was you. Not you, Rod Pyle. You, the people using the internet. And I have to point out, it's not always the best person of the year. It was Hitler in the 30s. This year it is, and honestly, I thought it would have been better maybe to give it to the people who invented the mRNA vaccine that's maybe saving some lives. But no, they decided that Elon Musk was the most influential person of the year. I think you can make that case. Love him or hate him, he's done so much, not just with Tesla, his electric vehicles, but with SpaceX.
Yeah, and Neuralink and a bunch of other things.
So Neuralink, the idea is you're going to attach something to your head and and it's going to give you, I don't know what, a headache. It's going to somehow, they've attached it to a rodent or something. And anyway, that's
pigs, I think.
Pigs. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't think that's one of his shining moments.
Well, neither is the Boring Company.
Nor the company boring holes under Vegas. No.
Kids. Yeah. But you know what? I mean, he tries things, and if they don't work, he moves on. And I think that's what's so amazing. And as you know, since we're talking about space, as we've seen in space flight, he tries things that nobody else will try. And if they fail, he tries them again. And if it keeps failing, he tries something else.
Yeah, you got to give him credit for putting his fortune on the line. Now, he's now the richest man in the world. But he took a chance.
Quickly, by the way.
Yes, it did. But he took a chance. He could have been bankrupt several times over. So,
yes. So he really puts his money where his mouth is. And the way Time described him in their article, which I loved, was clown, genius, edgelord, visionary, industrialist, showman, cad, a madcap hybrid of Thomas Edison, P.D. Barnum, Andrew Carnegie, and Watchman's Dr. Manhattan.
They covered it all. You're at there. I would agree with them in every respect. That's exactly right.
I'd say Dr. Manhattan was kind of sociologically neutral. And I guess we'd say the same thing about Musk. And as somebody at the American Enterprise,
Dr. Manhattan saved the Earth by, as I remember, invading New York City with a robot octopus. So it's not so far from Elon.
Right. As the American Enterprise has said, he's not politically right or left. It's a politics of progress, which I thought that's pretty brilliant.
I don't know what it is.
So, and I mean, there were some concerns about Tesla operating during the pandemic shutdown. And as Musk pointed out, he was one of the only auto manufacturers not able to operate then because of where it was in the Bay Area and their restrictions versus what was going on in Michigan and other places. So there are always these ameliorating factors, I guess.
Yeah, but he risked the lives of his employees by thwarting public health regulations. I don't know if that's okay.
And very publicly, came out against COVID restrictions, although at the same time saying he believes the science and so forth. So he is we got to say the net of this is he's a very complex guy, but he has revolutionized space flight. I mean, love him or hate him, there's just no way around that. He has completely not just changed the playing field, but basically picked up the chessboard, shook all the pieces off and restacked them his way. And I think the telling part is, it made all the other folks in that area, in particular the older aerospace companies, completely reshuffle their decks to keep up because he was doing it so cheap, so efficiently. And they just flew back. They just flew one of his boosters for the 11th time, a first. There's so many firsts.
It is amazing what he's done. I mean,
they had a
SpaceX
15-hour turnaround for launches. They launched 30 times this year as of today. And another Starlink launch. He does this very smart thing where he builds a rocket booster that is still not retrieving the upper stage of the Falcon 9. But I think that's probably he's not after that now. He's after Starship because the whole thing's comes home in one piece, right? Two pieces, the booster and the top. But he uses these boosters first sometimes for crewed launches, other times for important launches like big NASA payloads and space station resupply. Then he uses them for commercial customers. And then when they start getting old, he uses them for Starlink. Because if they lose a bunch of Starlinks, well, that's their own stuff. And he's willing to do that. But I think, critically, he's willing to do that, right?
Yeah, but critically, he's also willing to do something that maybe isn't the best for society. Starlink's a great example. It's on the one hand, it's going to put internet everywhere in the world. That's amazing. On the other hand, it may be blocking out the light of the sun. So between the two of them...
Oh, wait.
All right, it's not going to block out the light of the sun.
Okay, the astronomers get upset, and I feel their vibe. I used to work with a lot of astronomers. Yeah. They are working to mediate that by making them darker.
They're painting them black.
Oh, okay. Right, and trying to keep them from having as much radio interference for the radio astronomers. But, he's not the only one. He's just in the head of the race. There's going to be at least 2, 3, 4 other companies. China's coming up behind with their own version of Starlink. And there's going to be a lot of those things up there. Let's see how those people behave now that the Pathfinder has gone out and set up his system, which works, by the way. And, if we have one Mozart or one Einstein or one other magnificent person emerge from the third world that never had connectivity before, that might end up being a really good trade.
I guess society does need mavericks like Musk. Because he lives outside the box, and it's certainly provocative, and you can't say everything he does is good, but nor is everything he does bad. He's a piece of work, is what he is, and he's our piece of work. So,
well, and all these companies are trying some kind of public relations positive spin because they all need it. The one thing one of the Tesla, I think it was the chairman of the board, said about Musk, which you could say for most of his endeavors, is we don't have to spend any money on advertising. It just happens.
Yeah, he's good
and
at
part
that.
of that's his tweeting, as we were talking about, right?
He's good at that.
Even if he tweets something small and silly, it's major news. But he did the company announced the $100 million climate prize, which I'm sure you read about, which includes direct capture of CO2 from the atmosphere, which some experts say is probably a boondoggle, but we'll see.
We'll see. Visionary. A lot of what Elon does, we'll see. Rod Pyle, we'll see him at space.nss.org and on The Unexplained.
And Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Rod. We'll see. Rod, have a wonderful Christmas. Next show is January 2nd.
Okay.
So you don't have to come back next week. Are you doing anything fun for Christmas?
We are getting away to blustery Ventura, California for 4 days because that way I can go to a hotel and enjoy their Christmas decorations instead of having to do all my own. And, Musk pushed I had a whole news rundown of the amazing things the Mars helicopter's been doing.
I know. See, this is the problem.
And samples, China's new moon rocket.
This is called good PR.
Capsule.
Yep.
Yeah, but, we just had to do it. So next time.
Next time. Hey, thank you, Rod. Have a great holiday. Happy New Year. We'll, do something fun, and we'll talk again January 2nd.
Are you staying home or are you
yeah, because of Omicron, I don't dare. We were thinking all these things we were going to do and hotels we were going to visit. Yeah, we're just going to stay home.
Yeah, I go to a hotel and kind of just spray it down with this.
Even a hotel. We're looking. There's places you can go where you don't run into people, and So we're going to try to find something like that because Lisa and I really would like to do that, but it's just scary.
Well, we just need a couple of spacesuits. So we can just put them on, and wherever we go, people will think we're cool or really weird. And we're just breathing our own air, so we can only infect ourselves, right?
All right, Rod, have a great week. Great 2 weeks.
Take care.
Happy New Year.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Last few minutes of 2021 for me. Next week, we'll have a best of. Thank you to Professor Laura for putting that all together. Christmas Day, the day after Christmas. I will be back January 2nd, though, so there's some good news. William's on the line, all the way from Michigan. Hello, William. You're next.
Hey, Leo. Great to talk to you.
Thanks for calling.
Hey, no problem. So I'm curious as to what might be going on, if it's just maybe my phone or if it's the towers or something going on with the atmosphere or what's going on. But my smartphone has gotten really stupid where it cannot find towers anymore. I mean, I use my open single app and there'll be like a tower right next to me or 50 miles down the road. It doesn't matter where they're at. It's like I got one bar if I'm lucky. But then it's also, lately, it's just been just shutting down, so I'm almost wondering if maybe I got a bug that's doing it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that the towers have all suddenly stopped working. So unless something's going on, who's your carrier?
Well, I've got the U.S. Mobile, which is a Verizon.
Yeah, see, if you were on Sprint, maybe, okay. But, yeah, you're on a Verizon network, so I think you're probably still in touch with your towers. It's probably your phone. And there are things that can happen to a phone. Have you put a new case on the phone or changed it in any way?
No, I haven't done anything like that, no.
So, I mean, let's not forget the way these things work. It's like a radio. It's got an antenna in it. Remember the old days of cell phones, it'd have an external antenna. You'd always break it off. You'd have to pull it up, right? And then it would break off and you have to get a new one. Phone manufacturers pretty quickly realized people don't want external antennas. And even though internal antennas don't work as well, they moved to internal antennas. Remember, Apple had a big problem with its iPhone 4 because they had a metal, rim all the way around it that was the antenna. And if you held it like you would normally hold a phone, although Steve Jobs says you're holding it wrong, it would attenuate the signal so much that it would actually drop calls. So they had to ship out a rubber bumper for it. What phone do you have?
I got a dinosaur. I got the Samsung Note 9.
Oh, I love that phone. That's a great phone.
It's a good phone, but I'm wondering, it's kind of obsolete, so I'm wondering if that might be part of the problem, too.
Yeah, it could be. It could be, as you probably have heard, and carriers are telling you, older phones using the 3G network will stop working at various times in the next year. That's not one of them, though. That should continue to work. It's not too old. It's sad because Samsung's not going to make these Notes anymore, and I think it's one of the best big phones ever. They really created the big phone market with the Notes. So you have, I mean, the last Note was, I think, the 10. So you have a relatively recent Note. I don't think it's that. I think, though, it could be damaged. There's an antenna. So there is, as I said, an internal antenna that's connected to the motherboard of the phone with a wire, just like anything else. If that's shaken loose or broken, that could be part of it. I'm trying to remember on the Note how they did this. There always is on a modern phone. There's always the wireless signal does not go through metal, and many of these modern phones are made of metal. So there's always a way for the signal to get out, or I should say, really, the signal to get in and out to the phone. On some phones that are metal, they'll have a plastic rim or plastic line along it. I'm thinking Samsung uses glass on the back of the Note, which would eliminate that problem. Is it like a glass back or is it like a metal back?
Yeah, I think it's glass.
Yeah, so glass it can go through. It's just the metal that it can't. So, I don't think the Note had any particular antenna problem. So, and it sounds like your phone worked fine until recently, yes?
Yeah. Just a couple weeks ago, it started doing this, and then like a week and a half ago, it started dropping. It just completely shuts down as if I'm turning it off, and then I got to start it back up again.
Yeah. And restarting it, does that fix it?
No, because it restarts itself, and then that doesn't do it.
And it's still bad. Okay. So sometimes if a restart fixes anything on any computing device, then it's a software issue usually. But this sounds like it's a hardware issue. Sounds like the phone itself is kaput.
So they think maybe going to factory reset might fix it?
That'd be the next thing to try. Certainly if you called Samsung or Verizon support, they would say that first. That's the very first thing you always do. Do a factory reset just to see if it's a software issue. If it's a hardware issue, a factory reset won't fix it. You still won't get a good signal. But do try that, and don't immediately reinstall all your apps in case an app is interfering. Just do a factory reset, get back to the state that it came out of the box, with, and then see if that works. And if it does, then judiciously re-add the applications because maybe there's something interfering. Truth is, though, this sounds like it's a hardware issue, which means you might be able to get it repaired, but almost certainly you're going to have to just get a new phone. These things, they're not made. They're not made to be fixed. They're made to be thrown out, sad to say.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of waiting for the 21 to come out and go with the newest.
That's reasonable. I think it's imminent. I don't think it's too far off. Samsung usually has something in the spring for you.
They're talking January, so yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thanks, William. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings. But sometimes, you just the sign is got to get a new one. Tom in Medina, Ohio. This is our last call of the year. Hello, Tom.
Oh, I'm so honored.
Happy New Year. What can I do for you?
Well, you told me last week about buying that SanDisk clip, which I've ordered. It hasn't got here yet.
Excellent.
Remember that?
Yeah, because you wanted for your autistic child, you wanted an inexpensive music player that he could easily listen to and destroy if necessary, because you know how kids are, and it wouldn't break the bank. Yeah, so good. What can I do for you this time?
It's a her, and her name is Heather. But
I remember Heather. Yes. Hi, Heather. Yes.
Okay. Her nickname is Helen Wheels. Did I tell you that?
We used to call my daughter El Destructo. So, yes, I'm kind of familiar with that notion. I still have to buy her a new phone every few months.
Well.
And she's 30.
My daughter's 39. But she's like a grade school kid, though. Anyways.
Now, the music, you wanted to get the music on. I'm running out of time, so I'll just quickly jump to it. You'll see when you get it, it's got a USB port. You could just drag music onto it. Just connect it to your computer and drag music onto it. It also has a micro SD card slot, so probably the easiest. So that's one thing. You can put it on the device itself, or you can get a micro. In fact, you do it right now. Get a micro SD card, copy music onto it, and then put it into the device. I would actually wait till you get it so you format it in the format that SanDisk can use. The whole reason SanDisk makes it is to sell micro SD cards. That's what they make. So a great solution. You can even have a variety of choices. Happy New Year to Heather and to you, Tom. I appreciate your listening. Thanks to all of you. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Professor Laura, Kim, James. We'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great New Year. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.